So this is a song called Moses Coffee. Cup of coffee Moses made was the same that Abraham drank. Gave to me upon bended knee was the same when he fell asleep. Well, the sun refused to shine, and those daughters of the divine, they drank from the vine, from the vine.
Let us first ask him how come that he is a musician and he is an artist.
Yeah.
Maybe we start here.
Okay.
Well, I kind of was born that way, I'd say, as an artist. Somebody that it just kind of runs in the blood, you could say, too. My grandfather is an artist, and so I'm an artist. And sometimes, you know, it's amazing how things happen like that. But for me, it really started to shine when I was about 8 years old, and then I had an art teacher that kind of saw that in me, and then because of that, then I decided that that was really kind of my identity for a long time, and still is. So I haven't really given up on it. I've always been making art, and there was a time, you know, where you get wounded as an artist, but you start to kind of heal and move through that stuff, and in terms of music, I started out as a drummer. So well, even before then was piano back when I was little, but drummer in high school, and played a lot of rock and roll bands, ska, punk bands, playing a lot of drums. So I just taken up the guitar not that long ago, and I enjoy belting out some songs on that. Yeah.
And the visual art that you got into, you have a history with that too?
That's right. So I feel that I'm a stronger visual artist, and you know, I went to college for art, and I got a degree in art studio with a painting kind of focus, and was certified to teach art. I work in special education, so I get a whole creative aspect of my being that I use there. But visual art all throughout. Love to paint, love to draw. I see things compositionally. I see the world that way, and it all started to come together that there's a certain style that's forming, and since I've learned, studied more philosophy and done a lot of meditation, gotten into integral theory, I feel like I'm a more cohesive representation of myself, and therefore that particular aspect of me comes out more in art, and even more so these days. So yeah.
Thank you.
Well, great. And what I'm noticing as you're speaking here is that you have a very kind of grounded way of presenting yourself. It is very calming, reassuring, and authentic. I like that.
Thank you, Mark. That's very. You're a sweet guy.
That's what I'm good at.
Fishing for compliments.
All of a sudden, after postmodern art, there's been a lot of confusion as to maybe what art is these days, or what makes something integral art. And in terms of development, an integral artist is someone who essentially understands the value of all of the other levels of development that had come before. So that's fundamentally speaking what an integral person or an integral artist would see is the truth and partiality of every particular artistic mode there is, That doesn't mean that he or she is throwing all kinds of stuff on a canvas and saying that that's integral art because it includes all the former aspects. It might, which would be very painstaking, but it would have the art object made by that person would have that person's particular understanding in somehow as imbued in the art objects. Sounds kind of magical. Also comment to how important states of consciousness are. So you have, you know, in integral theory, there's roughly 3 or 4 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, dreamless, deep dreamless sleep, and some kind of witnessing, and then maybe even a non-dual stage after that. So when an artist is making their art, especially someone who's integrally informed, also understands how important the states of consciousness are in informing the art. For example, subtle realms, or the subtle body, or the dream state, very important for artists, you know, all throughout history, as a way to envision or vision or project or show imagery that come from a vast realm of imaginative whatever it could be. People that could be part animal, people that could be, that, you know, different, what your power animal might be. Different aspects of energy, different aspects of how things feel, and especially with an altered state. So if an artist is familiar with navigating different states of consciousness, usually they are, and they want to put that in their art, then an integral art would have all of that. You know, would have somebody who, what they're doing when you look at their creation, that you will get a hit from. You will get a download, so to speak, from that artist, where their mind, their consciousness was at when they created that piece. You know, so not only their development, but their state comes through. You know.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is a picture of a actual analog canvas. So I've been kind of doing actual, real, in the three-dimensional world, art for a while. And you can see I'm kind of transitioning to digital art, but I haven't quite got there yet. This piece is called a breakthrough, and I've had several breakthrough pieces. And you can see kind of elements from postmodernism. I'm really trying to figure out the line. I'm really trying to figure out how color should go. And I've come into integral theory, and I'm seeing how things fit together, but it's not quite there yet. It wants to be a fractal, but it's not a fractal. And so here it is, a bigger version of it. And this is sort of like different opposing forces, good and evil versus some kind of not two approach where it holds both. And they're drippy, melty. I like psychedelic art. I'm interested in how things can kind of merge into something else while remain their own specific thing. Here's one. It's supposed to be a still life, and it's turned into more of a study of line and how that feels. And here we are, and I'm starting to get that fractal feel where things have smaller parts and they have more of a direct relationship with everything else on the actual piece rather than just being put on there. So this is probably just 2 years ago, this piece. So then I go into using the iPad for some digital art. And this piece is called You Are Here. And there's a obvious arrow, but the whole movement of energy is something that I'm starting to get really interested in how energy can be shown visually, almost like a pebble in a pond, or in this case a small little frog face in a pond, or just, you know, just these elements that I want people to begin to resonate on the inside, a state that I'm feeling at the time of stillness or separateness, and also, you know, how things are kind of flowing together, integrating. You know, I'm not quite there yet. And then I had a major shift. This is, of course, Leonard Nimoy. I had a major shift last spring where all of a sudden it was like a lightning bolt hit me, and I felt, gosh, I can be like the integral Andy Warhol and make all these portraits of people. And so this is one of them, and some people call this the neon style. I like the neon fractal portrait style. And of course, there's no fractals in this yet. This is just line and the boundary of the person with splotching, and I get that postmodern Jackson Pollock feel, even though it's digital. So that marks a change. And then come the fractals. So here's a fractal piece that's created three-dimensionally in the computer. And I began to fall in love and nerd out over 3D fractals, backflipping over fractals. I just keep making these every day. I make usually 5 or 6 of these kinds of things every day. And these are about composition and finding texture and finding depth, because they can really give a feel to a piece that's, like, say, a portrait, you know, of somebody. They could get a backdrop of them. Here's a better. This is a piece called Spiral Dynamics. So this is kind of like that idea of evolution in a whirlwind, tour de force, acid paper. Let's go on this free ride, man, and see what this looks like. So that's that. And this is a piece I did for the school I work at. This is printed very large for them to hang. And this is the playground, and overlaid is a fractal. And I actually photographed a rainbow. It's not a double rainbow. It's just a regular rainbow. And it's about line also. It's about how the sky and the trees meet within this kind of complex holographic network, the energy related to how the fractal can show that, or give that feel of that holographic feel. And then Mr. Corey DeVos asked me to do a portrait of his daughter, and for Mother's Day, and there it is. That's Evelyn, and she's a liver transplant survivor. So I just got this big, warm, gushy love vibe. So I decided to make this particular version of that, and I like it. I think that this is successful in color. One of the more successful. I make a lot of these, you know. This is Mr. Mark Davenport, and there he is, post-European conference, Mark. So he's got the download there up on the chin, right up on that nose, all the way in the back in the brain case. Look at the download Mark got. And of course, this is including the fractal subtle energy feel. So this is one of my more successful photo. So I take the photograph and I almost do kind of like a tracing part, and then it's like my style of my pen work, and you get really good. It's like he's the good profile shot here, side view. Here we have Heidi, and this is. I'm starting to develop newer techniques with the fractals and finding different programs that give different effects, or iterations, as I call them, iterations. And so here is, of course, the laser line style, but with the added depth or the subtle energy feel of a person. So you get this essence of the person, and you get their overall totality at that moment, in that moment, as best as I can deliver. So there's Heidi. So, and this is a representation of a universe, or the dropless drop, or the infinite I amness, suchness, isness of experience, done using fractal imagery, three-dimensional. And I think it's pretty good use of the technology, because this is going to inform some good pieces later on. And here we have an integral elite. So what I like about this piece is that there's not a lot of line work done. I didn't do a lot of line work, but I really focused a lot on the background here. And there, if you can look closely, there is three-dimensional fractal work. Looks like a kind of a building structure, because you know, whenever I listen to the Daily Evolver, I kind of get this feel like, you know, he's really trying to give us the structure to the news, and he's doing the best that he can. He's a Boulder, Colorado, coming at you here. And then here's, of course, my Ken Wilber piece, which I was very happy that reached his computer through some integral connections there. This wound up on into his email, and he said that he liked it, and that kind of like made, if I died tomorrow, that would make me feel the best, because I'm such a fanboy of Ken Wilber. And here you have, of course, the three-dimensional fractal combined with some of the more ethereal fractal imagery that I've been able to, and some minimal line work, because Ken's kind of at this suchness level, and his state of consciousness is really imposing as it's coming through, and yet soft, you know. And it's finding the right colors that work, that show him as he is when that photograph is taken, and give that perfect feel. I feel when I look at this is one of my most successful ones. And here's Corey himself, and this is Corey DeVos. And moving along, this is Jeremy Johnson, and this is the last one, and this is a piece that I did called Layers of Consciousness. So this is kind of like a combination of all the things I've done up to this point, including using some different layering effects. So there you go. But I have a blog where people can look at my work called scottmartialart@blogspot.com. Try to get real close to the guitar.
Now, can you put the camera just a little higher?
There we go.
Okay.
How's that?
Good.
Okay. Take all day just to slow me down. I have a garden with the roses all around. It's a show I want you to know. Fantastic ways and the cosmic undertone. What are you clinging on to? Yes, the stars are always shining. Gonna pleasure and see the signs. All the ducks are lined up in a row. Say it's a love that you love. Yeah, and it sings to you like those burning, burning doves. Fantastic way. Yes, the stars are always shining.
shining.
Ooh, wonderful, and thank you so much, and
Thank you, guys.
bye,
Thank you.
everybody.